Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Geek Corner. It is quite late on Monday night, April the 20th, but I wanted to let you all know of a very interesting phenomenon that's happening over on YouTube this week. A slew of fantastic Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPG creators for a few years now have every year set a week aside to talk about something related to D&D and that whole world. And this week is the Fae, which is absolutely fantastic. I've posted the link down below in the comments. Go ahead, watch the whole playlist. There's going to be stuff put out every day this week from hundreds, literally hundreds of awesome YouTube creators. In honor of that theme this week, I would like to read to you all a small snippet of a short story I've been writing entitled Don't Mess with the Fae. The room was a mess. Barnaby ducked as Lisa threw another glass at him. "What do you mean you won't believe her?" she screeched at him. "Fuck, Lisa, this was only supposed to be for fun," he shouted back before realizing there could be other people hearing their row. He took a breath and held up his hands. "Listen, let's just calm down, okay? You know I love you. You know I love being with you." "Then fucking leave her!" She had her shoe off now, the 6-inch spike facing towards him. "I swear, Barnaby, you leave her, or so help me, You'll what?" Barnaby actually laughed, right as Lisa threw the shoe at him, the foot catching him across the forehead, almost sending him to the ground. Clutching his head, he heard her threat loud and clear. "You either leave her, or I'm going to call her. Hell, I'll go to your fucking house. I've followed you home enough times to know where it is." "No, Lisa, wait!" He looked up, wincing, just to see the door closing. He staggered to the door, but she was gone already. Barnaby Hayward hustled down the walkway over the river, the rush-hour traffic on the main bridge to his left slowly moving past. He didn't bother watching where he was going, cursing under his breath, his temples still throbbing where Lisa had hit him. The fuck did they make platform shoes out of? Concrete? She had gotten him good when he told her he wasn't going to divorce his wife. He and Mary had 20 years together, 2 kids, a life. He wasn't about to give that up for Lisa, even if she had been his mistress almost 7 years. What did that fucking bitch expect? He growled to himself. She knew the deal, knew what this was. Under his anger, the pain, was a cold fear slowly closing in around his heart. She had Mary's number, had somehow figured out where he lived. Now she was threatening to destroy his whole world. Most of his clientele were the supposedly Christian type, bragging about virtue while quietly wallowing in vice. No way they would continue to use him if he was publicly divorced. Barnaby tripped and nearly went sprawling as he stumbled across the side of a tent. He had come to the end of the walkway over the water and was back on land, up against a purple tent, the neon sign of fortune flashing brightly. He moved around it, still grumbling, trying to work out how he was going to get himself out of this mess. Mary couldn't know. That was certain. If she ever found out... Barnaby stopped and turned, looking back at the tent. He vaguely remembered old fairy stories, that fortune-tellers could change the future as well as tell it. He took a step towards it, then shook his head, turning around, heading for home. Less than a minute later, he was rushing back towards the tent. "I must be going fucking mad," he swore in his desperation as he ducked inside. "Hello, Barnaby," the man inside the tent greeted him. Barnaby came up short, taking in the hobo-like appearance of the tent's occupant. Ripped jeans, plaid shirt, some kind of tacky red gem on his forehead. He blinked. "How do you know my name?" The man smiled. You don't come here to get your fortune read. You need something to change. So I'm dispensing with the pleasantries." The men stared at Barnaby, And he got the weird feeling whenever he went through the scanner at the airport, like his whole body was being penetrated by that gaze. Investment broker. But that's not what you wanted to do. The man's voice held surprise, maybe a twinge of jealousy. You wanted something more. You could have been something more. The man's voice hardened a bit. If fate had been a little different, you could have been what I am now. What are you? Barnaby whispered. A warlock is the conventional term that people use nowadays, but you can simply call me the Teller. The man inclined his head. Barnaby shook his head, feeling more and more as if he was going crazy. There's this. You need to make sure that Mary never finds out about your affair with Lisa, the Teller interrupted, still speaking calmly. And I'm sure you prefer to have your fun times with Lisa continue, yes? Barnaby stared at him and slowly nodded. Yes. Can you do that? It was hard to keep the desperation out of his voice. Of course, if you pay. Barnaby immediately pulled out his wallet. Of course, whatever it takes. Money's no problem. I don't take money, not for this, the Teller said, stopping him. What you offer must equal in value what you wish to have done. You're an investment broker, a good one. Money is of no concern to you. However, this problem sounds like it's very serious to you. So what you pay must be equally as serious. But my marriage is the most important thing in my life, Barnaby protested. The Teller smiled. You're sure? Or is it really the fear of losing the prestige of being married to a senator's aide? The clients you'll lose if your marriage falls through? Barnaby again opened his mouth to protest, to say that he really did love his wife. He didn't want to hurt her, but the words stuck in his throat. The air around the Teller was quivering. It shimmered, becoming a pale yellow aura around him, as if he were shrouded in golden gossamer. I told you that we were not so different, the Teller continued. You have the capacity to see auras. You were just never granted the gift. You are seeing a fraction of what I see right now. Look at yourself. He gestured to a standing mirror against the tent wall. Barnaby slowly turned to look, moving himself into the frame. There was a menagerie of different colors swirling around him. Bright purple, a sickly yellow, fierce flashes of red. Over all of it, though, was a slimy-looking green, as if an oiled slick had covered the moss that sits atop a stagnant pool. Here and there, golden threads seemed to peep through. You have been touched by luck, the Teller mused. That golden thread, that's the source of your good fortune through your life. But still, that fear. It seems that your luck is a mixed blessing. It brings you such good things, but at the same time, brings the fear of losing them as well. Barnaby swallowed. My luck? That's what you want? The Teller grimaced slightly. I don't want anything, Barnaby. What I desire is payment, and how you choose is up to you. Although I do doubt if you have anything you value as much as your luck, if not for your current way of life. There was a long pause. Barnaby felt a fleeting desire to shout at the strange fortune-teller and run straight home, falling and begging forgiveness at Mary's feet. But the stronger part of him resisted, playing tapes in his mind of Mary divorcing him, his clients deserting him, left alone on the street, friendless and penniless. It was true many of his best clients seemed to come out of nowhere, pure happenstance. If that was taken away, could he survive? The Teller waited, patiently, while Barnaby mulled over the different options in his mind. The die had been cast, the bait set, the hook waiting. He could feel the beast yearning for Barnaby to acquiesce. His patron favored unfettered and unrestricted access to emotions or other intangibles. Why the beast wanted this cheater's luck was beyond the teller. He had long ago given up trying to figure out his patron's desires and wants. He only did his best to get what was offered. I could rebuild. Maybe get through this. Barnaby stuttered, his mind racing. You could, the teller said calmly, picking up the minor arcana of his tarot deck. But you'll have to start all over again. He shuffled the cards. Living out of your car until you strike big again. The teller flicked his wrist, the 5 of Pentacles flying out and landing right side up on the ground as if it were made of lead. Screaming matches with your soon-to-be ex, fighting past bodyguards to get just a second with a potential client. Another flick of the wrist, the 5 of Swords hitting the group next to the 5 of Pentacles. Scrambling to come up with a new idea? Because maybe, just maybe, this time your luck won't come through the way you want it. The 5 of Clubs joined the pack. And through it all, the utter collapse of your relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your mistress, with your clients. The Ace of Clubs inverted. All of it gone, and you have to start again. Barnaby's legs felt like water, and he collapsed onto his knees, in front of the spread laid out in front of him on the ground. The most horrible time of my life, he muttered, staring at the cards. I can't do that again. I can't go back. You don't have to. The cards suddenly sprang backwards, flying through the air and sliding back into the deck. You just have to make the payment. And you swear everything will work out? Everything goes back the way it was? Barnaby asked, his voice wavering between hope and fear. The teller smiled and laid down the deck of cards. Walking over to a case, he opened it and pulled out a small golden ball. Your wife will never know. Your mistress will stop being angry with you. Everything you want, he said, holding out the ball. Barnaby licked his lips and stretched out his hand. Then, yes. The ball was warm, and Barnaby felt something pull at him from the inside. He felt a sense of loss, a hole opening up inside of him. He felt he had made a terrible mistake. The teller placed the ball back on the shelf, and he could almost feel his patron purring with delight. Our business is concluded, he said, almost pitying the man still kneeling on the ground. Almost. Despite his broken appearance, the teller still knew what kind of man he was. He lifted Barnaby up on his feet, guiding him gently but forcibly towards the exit. Barnaby allowed himself to be pushed back out into the sun, taking a few faltering steps towards home. He looked around, blinking as he reached the end of the walking trail and heard his phone start to ring. Yes? He answered. Mr. Callard? Yes, this is Mr. Callard. Sir, I'm so sorry. This is the hospital. Your wife just fell into a coma. She's being transported to... Barnaby dropped his phone, turning, running back. He hadn't wanted this. They had twisted his words, hadn't understood what he meant. But even before he reached the spot where the tent had been, before he saw the now empty patch of grass, he knew it was too late. Intent didn't matter. How often had he swindled clients the very same way, stripped of every last cent, because they hadn't bothered to read the fine print. He had been given the ability to have everything he had ever asked for, and he would never feel whole again. Well, if you stayed and listened to this, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Highly, highly recommend when you do see this, jump over to YouTube, check out Monster Week. As I said in my last video, over 100 different creators all putting out wonderful, wonderful stuff on the Fae. Just remember, don't mess with the Fae.